Okay, our last item of the day is departmental number 3. Discuss the latest request from the Village of Indiantown for additional American Recovery Plan Act funding.
Yes, Commissioners, thank you. Taryn Krista for the record. So when staff started this initial dialogue and what the county could possibly consider to offer the Village of Indiantown as a grant that could be designated to improve their flyer flow services to their utilities, that would enhance our ability to provide fire and rescue services to those residents or businesses, and particularly the industrial areas, as well as looking at our property that the fairgrounds is looking as a future site. So our thought process for having the funding predicated on a 5-year interlocal agreement was really for the village to remain in the county's fire rescue MSTU was based upon our 5-year capital improvement plan and a planning process. As the county knows that currently we have some planned developments in the western area, and so we're actively pursuing our possible expansion of fire rescue services to serve those areas that we know are either in the pipeline or have come forward. So the county has proposed the $1.5 million grant as a 50-50 match to be put toward a project that the village identified to complete what they call to their loop system, and which would enhance the utility services that they would provide in the future. So the village manager has sent me a letter dated May 17th with 4 items that they were proposing. One was they have put the dollar amount at $2.5 million to be paid up front in a one-time payment in exchange for that 5-year commitment for the village to remain in the fire rescue MSTU. They also asked for monthly reporting of calls to the area from data that is readily available. They also wanted quarterly reporting from fire rescue to the village on those fire rescue related activities within the village. And they wanted to revise the deed restrictions on Booker Park and Big Mound Park properties to be less restrictive. The deed currently has restrictions on there for the properties relative to recreational and public use. So the $1.5 million amount that staff proposed was based upon population and how that population compares to the county overall. Increasing that dollar amount, in staff's opinion, would put a impact on those ARP funds that are planned for throughout the county to benefit all residents and businesses within the county. The deed restrictions, legal is currently evaluating, and we're not really sure until we can have a better definition of what the intent is for those funds to be able to render a opinion, if you will, on whether or not we can meet their needs. So the staff recommendation is that the board would just have the one-time ARP funding allotment of $1.5 million to be used toward the fire inflow improvements in exchange for their commitment of a 5-year participation. And then we can look and evaluate and prepare a proposed deed changes, if we can do that, for the buildings only that are located on Big Mound and Booker Park sites. And that you would direct me to coordinate with the village manager future reporting and quarterly updates, which fire rescue, quite frankly, welcomes. We don't believe that that's an undue hardship on staff. We believe that we can provide it, recognizing that Station 24 services not only within the municipality boundaries, but outside as well. So right now, staff would ask that you approve our recommendation or provide us with additional direction based on the latest. I will add that yesterday the agenda for Indiantown came out, and on their agenda is an item that the village manager prepared with the same date of May 17th that is asking for an additional position to be a fire services coordinator for their, and the job description is pretty clear that that individual is going to be starting the process for creating their own fire department. And it's going Thursday at their Thursday meeting, which is the 27th.
I know.
Okay. Commissioner Hearn.
Yeah, for starters, I remember when we decided to donate the deeds for Big Mound and Booker Park sites, that we were adamant that those would remain for public use, for recreational use. And so what kind of changes are they proposing that would deviate from that? Because I'm adamant that those uses have to remain for the public.
It's very difficult for me to answer that directly because they've been less than definitive about what they wanted to do. I will say I completely agree with you, Commissioner Hurd, and I pointed out to their village manager and the village attorney that their current council members agreed in an interlocal agreement that those particular properties would be used as parks, as recreational facilities, because they're deeply integral to the surrounding communities, and you all talked about that. The change, proposing a change which was initially done to public use, I'm not sure what that means. I'll be honest, it's a very, very broad and very different from what you all agreed with the council members. So that's why in the agenda item, I haven't been able to get anything definitive about what they would do with the building and the surrounding property. My request to them was that if they were going to apply for state grants or something to do something to the buildings, that certainly you'd be glad to talk about it if they could give you specifics, but that without specifics, it really goes against you all's intent and their agreement with your intent that it be used for public purpose. I hope that helps you. I can't really answer what it is.
No, in the manager's letter on page 3, he references that the buildings in existence on Booker Park property and Big Mound property may also be used as a civic center, event center, community center, meeting room, municipal services annex, emergency operations center, and hurricane shelters.
And I would add, I'm not aware of how you have a building use that's different from the underlying property. So it was a little bit confusing to county staff about what exactly they were asking for. And I did reiterate that the board wanted to be sure that the property was used for recreational purposes, that it was a park. Thanks.
And also, the county is constrained by law by proportions, from discounting services for one part of the county and not discounting services to another. In other words, unincorporated cannot subsidize incorporated municipalities. So their Indian Town's percentage of the population is 4.4%. And if we take the amount of monies that we are anticipating, we're not receiving, and we're not going to get a lump sum in 1 year. We're going to get it over 2 years, and we're estimating right now what that figure is going to be. But our best estimates would say that 4.4% of that grant will be $1.375 million. So we are legally constrained from giving anyone a bigger increment than that. So their request is for 2.5.
Yes, ma'am.
And they're receiving their own stimulus money, are they not?
Yes, they are. What our initial estimates is a little over 1.3 million.
Yeah, I have lots of difficulties with this request. That's all.
Commissioner Jenkins.
I can't shed any more light on the specificity of their deed restriction issue, other than the fact that, in talking to a couple of council members, that they're being told that with the current language that we have in that deed restriction, they're not able to acquire some grants to harden those structures, which I don't have if there's some minor tweak to the language that would allow them to get a grant to improve and harden the building, that doesn't bother me, but I don't understand why we can't get anything more specific from them of
Correct. And Commissioner Jenkins, we did, in conversations with both the village manager and the village attorney, indicate that we would be happy to coordinate with them if they were applying for grants, to coordinate with whatever granting agency they wanted to apply for, that we'd be happy to amend anything that granting agency agreed to, and they didn't seem amenable to that. They wanted it done ahead of time, not at that point. But we made that offer. Yes, sir.
Okay. So back to the financial part of it, to reiterate our position, and it seemed like our last conversation was the 1.5 was justified by increasing our own, if we're going to provide fire service, is to better provide our fire service, was our justification. Two are the rest of our unincorporated Martin County people. Going beyond that is something that I'm not willing to do. Talking to some of my constituents after our last meeting that had a little bit of an issue with, once I kind of explained it a little bit further, it was completely justified. Now that they've asked over that, talking to my constituents, they have a problem with that. So I'm firmly where we were last time, and you know, the reporting thing is obviously a no-brainer. You know, coming up with some language for them to get grants for the buildings, doable, but I don't know. And then now advertising for a position, it seems like if we gave them fire rescue, they wouldn't take it at this point. So I don't know.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Smith.
So I guess what's of interest, what we offered last time is still what we're offering?
Well, I mean, I haven't heard otherwise. The board has not had the board gave me direction to make that offer.
No, I
So.
understand. So we haven't, I mean, from what I'm hearing, nobody's really suggesting anything further than where we were last time. I don't know that we even need to make a motion to offer anything. What we offered is what we've offered,
Okay.
from my perspective. And hearing Harold reiterate from what his residents or our residents have confirmed, or at least understand what exists, I think we leave it as is, and if they've moved forward to hire an individual that would head their fire rescue efforts or whatever, good for them, you know. But again, I keep taking this sort of same position. If that's their intent, best wishes, and we're here if need be, if things don't work out the way that they anticipate them working.
Okay.
That's just my perspective.
Yep, I would agree with what all of my colleagues have said this morning, so no need to reiterate it. So you have appropriate direction that we're where we were the last time we discussed this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Okay, with that, that completes our agenda. We're going to take public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom that wishes to comment? No? Okay. And commissioners, Commissioner Hurd,
I'm set.
Commissioner Canby, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Jenkins.
I'm good, except we all need to sign this before we leave. So.
Okay. Ms. Grizda or Ms. Woods?
I just wanted to circle back around with the board. So next month, you've got two meetings, June 8th and then the 22nd. Is that right?
Yes.
So June 8th, we were planning on being our last meeting to offer Zoom. It seems that the participation, but Commissioner Hetherington has asked that request, so she'd like to participate that way, which is great. But so I'm sorry, you've done an excellent job, but I didn't want you to find out at the last minute. So we'll start migrating off of that for the June 22nd meeting.
Okay, great. And our upcoming meetings are June 8th and 22nd, regular meetings, and the June 24th meeting will be a joint meeting with the City School and Village of Indiantown. And with that, we are adjourned.
Nice job.
We're not going to take the 10:30.